President Macron and Bibi Netanyahu. Let's take a listen.
Your support, that of your delegation, is highly appreciated. On October 7th, Hamas waged war on Israel. It was the worst terrorist attack the world has known since 9/11. But for Israel, proportionately, it was like 20 9/11s. It was the worst act of anti-Semitic violence since the Holocaust. I described to you some of the horrors. It's impossible to describe all of them. But like Anne Frank, Jewish children hid in attics from these monsters, and they were found and butchered. As in Babi Yar, Jews were machine-gunned in killing pits. Hamas butchered, Hamas beheaded, Hamas burned babies alive, Hamas raped, Hamas kidnapped hostages, over 200, babies, children, elderly, Holocaust survivors. We are in a war between barbarism and civilization. Chancellor Scholz, who visited Israel, said that Hamas are the new Nazis. And as in the Second World War, when the Allies fully supported the French anti-Nazi resistance, today the international community is uniting in support of Israel. For Hamas, barbarism not only threatens the Jews, it threatens the Middle East, it threatens the region, it threatens Europe, it threatens the world. Hamas is the test case of civilization against barbarism. And Mr. President, you and the French people have known the horror of terrorism. You experienced it in Nice and Lyon, in Paris. You refuse to tolerate this threat. And the people of Israel refuse to have ISIS in a terror enclave on its border. I have to explain. This is not an enclave of ISIS thousands of kilometers away from Europe. It's ISIS in the suburbs of Paris. It's ISIS, you can drive 20 minutes and you reach the suburbs of Paris and you have ISIS there. We cannot live like that. Nobody can live like that. So we are doing everything we need to do to destroy Hamas in Gaza. We will dismantle its terror machine. We will dismantle its political structure. We will make every effort to release our hostages, and we'll make every effort to keep Palestinian civilians out of harm's way. It's important to understand Hamas is committing a double war crime. It's not only murdering our civilians, targeting our civilians, doing unspeakable war crimes. They're also hiding behind civilians, their own civilians. We asked the people of Gaza to leave, to go to a safe zone in the south where we're enabling humanitarian aid to reach them. Hamas is putting checkpoints with people with guns to prevent Palestinians from leaving the war zone. Hamas is responsible for civilian casualties, but we will do every effort to avoid them and to fight this war as speedily and as rapidly as we can, but it could be a long war. When this is over, the people of Israel will rebuild their communities, and the people of Gaza will no longer live under Hamas tyranny. But first, there's one condition for anything that could happen and the good things that could happen once this war is over. And that condition is that Hamas must be destroyed. And I thank you, Emmanuel, for coming here to Israel, for standing with Israel, for standing with us in Israel and expressing your support. We rely on your continued support as this important battle for our future, our common future, proceeds till victory. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, dear Bibi. Thank you for your words. And I want to thank you for the discussion we had together in tete-a-tete and with our delegation. And I'm here to express our support, our solidarity, and our support for today, tomorrow, in all the different fields of this battle against terrorism. If you allow me, I will say a few words in French. I don't know if there is a translation, but I will make sure that you understand. Monsieur le Premier ministre, je suis venu en effet ici exprimer au peuple israélien toutes les condoléances de la France.
I came here to
Ces condoléances
speak
sont celles
about
d'un pays
the condolences of France
éploré devant l'acte terroriste le plus terrible de votre
We are terrified what happened to you.
Ces condoléances sont celles d'une nation.
Those condolences are from a nation
Jeune vie, des vies ordinaires.
that also had suffered.
Fauchées.
And we know what happened to you. And we are with you.
Ces condoléances sont celles de millions de femmes et d'hommes, nos compatriotes.
The condolences are from millions and millions of
Par le
French
degré inouï
people
de violence pure,
that were shattered
cruauté,
by the violence and the cruelty that happened to you.
les actes que vous avez subis dépassent tout entendement.
We don't understand how you could
Comme toutes les victimes du
overcome
terrorisme,
the terrible acts of barbarism
n'ont pas
that you have
d'autre motif que
suffered.
la haine pure.
This was raw hatred.
Vous étiez avec nous, Monsieur le Premier ministre.
When we were hit by
Lorsque nous marchions dans
terrorism,
les rues de Paris,
you were with us and you marched with us
vous nous
in the
disiez la
streets of
solidarité
Paris when we had terrorism.
vous apporte aujourd'hui
And
l'émotion. et
Today I come and give you the support of the French
nos deux
people.
pays sont liés par le même deuil.
Our two countries are
30%
united
ont été
in the
assassinés
same.
par le Hamas. Et c'est pour mon pays l'attaque terroriste la plus meurtrière subie depuis 2016.
This is the most horrendous terrorist act.
Nous partageons aussi avec Israël une terrible épreuve, celle des otages.
And we also know what it is to have hostages taken.
9 Français le sont.
We have 9
C'est plus que
French
nous n'en
within
avions
the
dans le monde entier
hostages.
jusqu'à présent. Et vous savez, nous savons combien est insupportable pour un pays d'imaginer la captivité de ces
And we are not ready to take that,
J'ai
and
tenu
we
à voir
will
les
do
familles des
whatever
victimes et des otages
we do to
déportés.
liberate them.
J'ai voulu partager leur détresse,
I met
leur
the
redire le plein
families.
soutien de la France,
I wanted to express my
négligerons
solidarity and
la
our
sécurité de nos compatriotes
support
à vos côtés.
for them.
Nous employons avec Israël et d'autres partenaires à obtenir la libération de tous les otages,
We want all the hostages to be liberated,
être libérés.
all of them.
C'est pour la France une
Completely.
priorité.
This is a
Pour
priority
cela, nous
for
devons tout
France.
faire pour obtenir du Hamas la libération de tous sans complaisance.
We
Je veux ici
all have to be
remercier
liberated
ceux qui nous aident à conduire
without
ces discussions.
any differences.
Je suis aussi venu vous dire la solidarité de la France dans la lutte contre notre ennemi commun, le terrorisme.
And I come to
Rappelez
tell you
devant
the
tous
solidarity
le
of
droit
France
légitime
against
d'Israël de se
terrorism.
défendre face
Israel has the right to defend
aux
itself.
destructions. Cette cause est juste.
This is a just cause you have.
Le Hamas est un groupe terroriste
Hamas
dont
is a
l'objectif
terrorist
même
group
est la destruction de l'État d'Israël.
that aims to
C'est
destroy
aussi le cas de
Israel.
Daesh, d'Al-Qaïda, de ceux qui leur sont
Hamas
associés
is like Daesh
dans
and
l'action
Al-Qaeda.
et dans l'intention.
They
La
operate in the
priorité,
same way.
votre priorité, mais aussi celle de toutes les démocraties et de la France, est avec vous.
The priority of you and of France and
Nous
of
qui
all
avons été
democracy
frappés si durement
is
par
to
ces mêmes
fight
groupes.
these
Je vais vous dire
organizations.
une chose simple. Vous n'êtes pas seul.
You are not alone. I came to
Pourquoi la
tell you you
France
are
est
not
prête
alone.
à ce que la coalition internationale contre Daesh, dans le cadre de laquelle nous sommes engagés,
We are ready that the international
Opération en
coalition
Irak et en
against Daesh in
puisse lutter
Syria
aussi contre le
and
Hamas.
Iraq will also fight
propose à nos
against
partenaires
Hamas.
internationaux, je l'ai évoqué avec vous ce matin, que nous puissions bâtir une coalition régionale et
We
internationale
want to build a
pour lutter contre
coalition,
les groupes
regional,
terroristes qui nous
international,
menacent tous.
to fight
Je
terrorism.
pense que c'est l'intérêt d'Israël, de sa sécurité,
It's
celle
in
aussi
Israel's
de nos
interest.
voisins, menacés par ces mêmes groupes. ou des
And
groupes.
we are also threatened by these groups.
La lutte doit être sans merci,
The
pas
struggle does have without
car nous
pity.
sommes des démocraties qui luttons
We are
contre des terroristes.
democracies and we hate
Des
terrorism.
démocraties donc qui respectent le droit de la guerre et
But
assurent
we have to work
c'est-
within the rules of law
des
of war.
démocraties qui ne prennent pas pour cible les civils, ni à Gaza, ni nulle part.
We will not target
Le respect des
civilians,
populations
not at
impose,
Gaza, not
en
anywhere else.
l'occurrence, de permettre l'accès de l'aide, de rétablir, et nous
We
en avons longuement parlé, très en détail,
we should have humanitarian
rétablir
help.
l'électricité pour les
reach
hôpitaux,
the Gaza.
les malades et les blessés, sans
We
que
have
cette
to have electricity in the
faire la guerre.
hospitals of
Nous
Gaza.
allons bâtir des coopérations très concrètes sur ce sujet. Dans les...
And we will cooperate with you
Nous
on
sommes
that.
prêts à apporter une aide concrète à toutes les populations.
We are ready to help all populations.
Ces dernières années, ces derniers mois, mais avec des solutions très pratiques et concrètes que nous avons discutées durant cet entretien.
We talked about this in our
principaux voisins
meeting,
pour bâtir ces
and
solutions.
we will speak also with your neighbors.
Nous devons aussi la conduire en veillant à éviter l'embrasement de toute la région.
We want to avoid
Je mets ici en
a
garde le
regional
Hezbollah,
war.
le régime iranien, les Houthis au Yémen,
I warn Hezbollah, I
l'ensemble
warn
des factions
Iran,
qui, dans
I
la région,
warn the
menacent
Houthis.
Israël, de ne pas prendre le risque inconsidéré
Take the risk.
au front.
Don't take the risk
Ce
to
serait
attack
ouvrir la
Israel.
porte à une conflagration régionale
If
dont
you
chacun sortirait
if
perdant.
you will do so, there will be a regional
nécessité
confrontation, and you will
peuples de la région.
suffer from that.
Faisons tout pour ne pas ajouter des larmes aux larmes et
We
du
have to
sang.
do everything to avoid more tears.
Plus près d'ici, je souhaite aussi appeler l'attention de chacun sur les actes de quelques-uns à l'égard de civils palestiniens dont la violence menace
I
de
want
propager le feu à la
also
Cisjordanie aussi.
to to draw your attention
La
to
sécurité d'Israël
act
peut
against
être durable
civilian
sans
Palestinians.
une relance décisive du processus politique.
We have to renew
Les Palestiniens.
the political
Nous l'avons
process
dit
for
longuement
peace.
Le Hamas, je l'ai rappelé, est un groupe terroriste.
Hamas is a terrorist
C'est
group.
pourquoi il ne porte pas la cause palestinienne.
He doesn't
Il doit
represent
être
the Palestinian
combattu
people.
avec force et la
We
cause
have to fight
palestinienne,
against
elle,
him.
doit être entendue
Aval,
avec raison.
but the Palestinian
stabilité de
cause
la
has to be heard.
Le retour à la normalisation qui s'annonçait.
We have to
seront
go back
garantis
to the
Que
normalization
si la réponse
which we
d'Israël
were
à la
thinking
violence
about.
est évidemment sécuritaire et implacable face aux groupes terroristes,
Israel has the right to defend itself,
en acceptant le droit légitime des Palestiniens
but
à
Israel
disposer
also
d'un
has to
territoire et
accept
d'un État
the legitimate right of the
et en
Palestinian
sécurité aux
people
côtés d'Israël,
to have their own territory and
aura
live in peace
intégré
with Israel.
l'existence et la sécurité d'Israël comme une condition première.
And the security of Israel has to be maintained.
Israël. La lutte commune contre le terrorisme, le respect du droit humanitaire, l'ouverture d'un horizon politique.
We have
Tous
to
ces
open a
éléments
political
sont
horizon.
indissociables.
We have to see that
Il faut
Israel
agir
is
ici
safe.
Et maintenant, en nous battant face au terrorisme,
We have to fight terrorism,
espoir.
but we have to
Encore une
keep
fois, Monsieur le
hope
Premier
alive.
ministre, merci de votre accueil.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Merci pour votre temps,
Thank you for your
cet
time,
engagement face au terrorisme.
and thank you
Et
for
dans les
your
prochaines heures, nous
fight
continuerons
against
d'avancer ensemble.
terrorism.
Nous avons défini
And we
une
will
liste d'actions.
continue to
J'aurai
talk
l'occasion de me
together.
rendre à Ramallah.
And I will go to Ramallah,
Et demain avec plusieurs dirigeants de la région,
and I will meet
aussi
with some
très concrètement avancés.
leaders of the region
I
tomorrow
want to thank you,
in
Mr. Prime
Jordan.
Minister,
In
not just
Jordan.
for your time, but because I'm lucid about the fact that this fight against terrorism is obviously a matter of existence for Israel, but it's a matter of existence for all of us. This is why we discussed together, and I just reminded this issue, but I consider that this is an international coalition in order to fight against these terrorist groups that we have to build. I just reminded my people in my language what we discussed about fight against terrorism, humanitarian action, rules to be respected, but as well political process. And obviously I warned against any escalation, and I want Hezbollah and some other regimes not to be part of what's happening. We had a very precise discussion, and I want to thank you for that. Now we will follow up this discussion in the coming hours in order to see what we can improve in the coming days, but I'm sure in the coming weeks and months. I know how committed you are. Let me express once again my solidarity, my friendship, and the fact that France stands with you in this awful terrorist act you had to experience. We are with your people.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Since you mentioned the regional aspects, let me say a word about that. There is a battle here between the axis of evil led by Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis, their minions, who are fighting to bring back the Middle East, the world, to the early Middle Ages with that kind of barbarism, with bondage, with slaughter, with murder. And there's the axis of the free world and the moderates who want to bring the world to the progress and prosperity of the 21st century. This is the battle. It's engaged now. The test for the West and for civilization is Hamas. If Hamas emerges victorious, we will all lose. Europe will be endangered. Everyone will be endangered. Civilization will be endangered. So if Hamas wins, if Hamas loses and is defeated, then the forces of civilization win. That is why this battle is not merely our own. It's Europe's battle. It's America's battle. It's civilization's battle. It's the battle for the heart and soul and the future of the Middle East and the Arab world. I think many understand that, but there's no going around the fact that we must have a decisive victory against Hamas. If Hezbollah makes the mistake of joining this war in a significant way, it will regret it. They will long for the second Lebanon war, which they regretted. Because they're embedding themselves like Hamas in the civilian population in Lebanon, we will have to take action against them. And the devastation against Hezbollah will be unimaginable. So I hope they heed your warning, our warning, the warning of the United States not to do so. But if they will, they'll suffer horrible consequences. We have to join together and win. The forces of civilization, progress, have to win. That goes through the defeat of Hamas.